Hello everybody, my name is Chris Hall and welcome back to another video. I just wanted to make a quick video on this Strider JVA, which is a knife that I have not seen a single video on YouTube about. So I thought I would make this to share, and I'm sure someone else is trying to see what this knife looks like, so here you go. This is the Strider JVA, which is a smaller model. Right before you get to the, what is it called? The Strider, I forget the name of the smallest one, but there's the SNG, and then there's this, and then there's that one. Okay, and then obviously above that there's the SMF and the XL and stuff like that. This is the JVA in distressed Strider stripe handle and tiger stripe blade in 20 CV. Distressed Strider stripe, otherwise known as DSS, okay? What that is it is a striped pattern of sandblasted, then you have flamed titanium, then you have polished titanium, then flame titanium, sandblasted, flame titanium, polished titanium, flame titanium, sandblasted. You see? That's DSS. And honestly, this is probably the coolest, most beautiful finishing on a knife that I've ever seen. It's just so beautiful. The way that the tiger stripe blade looks, by the way, this knife looks better in person than on the video. Just the way it plays with the light. It looks so many different ways. I'm using film lights for this right now, but in reality, it looks, these stripes look a little bit more blue. And yeah, it's pretty subtle overall until you look at it in detail, That's especially given the size of this knife. And I'll show you just compared to the SMF, right? It doesn't even fit in my frame, The SMF there. I prefer the SMF for my hand, okay? For me, nothing beats the SMF. There's a reason this thing has a naval stock number, okay? But the JVA is beautiful. This thing is absolutely beautiful. The size of that pivot is incredible. I mean, let's just look at that pivot compared to an Enrique Pena by Riot. Do you see that? Look at the size of that pivot versus this pivot. LOL. That's the man she told you not to worry about right there. There's the lock bar stabilizer right there, which keeps the lock bar from being pushed too far to the left, when you're undoing it. So if you're super, super strong and go boom, you can't over push it when you close it. This knife is sharp. I cut myself, where was it? Right here. I cut myself right here on this knife. It is sharp. Nice blade shape. I like it. It's looks like a almost complete full flat grind on this, and it's sharpened really, really well. Doesn't have the biggest edge, but it's sharpened very, very nicely. For me, in my SMF size hand, this is a little bit small, but like if I'm gonna have a small knife, this is the best. This is the one I'm taking. I usually rock with the large size knives, large size Chris Reeve, large size, Strider, large size Hinders. I like larger knives, like the 4-inch knives. This is my only knife that's smaller than that, but this actually feels amazing compared to other blade size knives that I have with this size blade, because it's so beefy. It's so thick and so beefy, the handle. And yeah, like I said, the finishing is absolutely incredible. This really feels like a custom knife to me. I mean, it basically is. You know, you have people. Do you see how the inside is flamed too? The inside of the scale is also flamed, even though you barely see it. That's the level of detail you have here. You know, just incredible. You know, this is done by hand. You know, it's done by hand. All those flames, all those details are done by hand, one by one. And there's definitely less lock stick with this JVA versus the SMF. If you want a knife that's easier to open, this knife is easier to open. It's still not very easy, but it's brand new. So I want things tight when they're new, actually. I really, really like things tight. Because the opposite of tight is loose, which means the blade collapses. What's the opposite of lock stick? Lock failure. Okay, so I'll take a little bit of lock stick every day. It's actually adding to the strength of the knife when you have it open, in my opinion. So yeah, here's one more comparison to the SMF. This is the SMF Performance in Stonewash. Really almost identical. Slightly different design though, of course. You know, choil is different. Everything's a little bit different once you start looking, right? It's all about the details though. So this is basically, I would say, a small strider. You know, this is the JVA. I think it's called like the Per Q or something like that, the smallest model. Sorry, not a strider expert yet. But aesthetically, this thing is incredible. Extremely impressive. Absolutely beautiful heirloom quality object. But it's better for someone with small hands or who likes small knives, because if you're used to the SMF, there's no going back. Just look at the size of that blade, that leaf blade. The size of that blade and the control you have with the SMF is just so incredible, you know, versus any other knife. It just ain't the same. You just don't have the same control over that size, you know, over that size piece of metal. It's just something to it. But if you have slightly smaller hands, I think this is a great knife. The JVA by Strider. Super happy with it. Just close up on the logo there. All Torx hardware, and then obviously a hex for that, but this is all Torx, which is nice. Before it did not have all that. All uniform. You can totally take this knife apart completely, disassemble it, clean it, put it back together. Titanium, full titanium handles, no back spacer. I think that's all I gotta say, guys. The inside is that is more of a normal pattern. That's not just DSS, not the distress strider stripe. If you see something called a ghost tiger stripe, that's different than this. That's different than tiger stripe. Okay, ghost tiger stripe means it's like a very, very subtle application. So it'll be more subtle, you know, won't be so much of a contrast between the two colors. It'll be more like gray and then light gray, gray then light gray. This is like gray then black, right? So there you guys go. Hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe I'll do another video comparing this to the SMF directly or something like that. But let me know what you guys want to see. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave them down below. And I really appreciate you watching. I appreciate your viewership and subscribing, liking the video, and interacting. I appreciate you being here. Have a great day, and I hope you learned something.